do. It's
Nice.
right there on that table for you.
Oh, is that one? Yes, so cool.
I'm like intermediate in French, so I tried to read French, and then I got then it got Clarity voice to go away. So then I could go to sleep. It's like intermediate French. Well, you don't have to get your mind. Yeah, my mind was like kept playing that. Like that's just while I was trying to sleep. So I was like, I gotta like get it out somehow. Tuesday. I don't know what the date is. I feel like you made it.
You get separation from the teacher, right?
Wendy, did you tune that to a tuner? Can I hear your A? Does that sound right to you? Good. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing? Good. Awesome. Well, it's going to be another great day. I'm looking forward to another great day. Thanks everybody again for being here. I'd like to start with an exercise that I call the infinite note. This is another example for teachers that you can copy this sequence if you'd like. So in this particular one, we're going to do it with some diatonic key. I suggest that we pick the key of C major. Yeah, C major. So that would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G when nothing is sharp and nothing is flat. And again, if it helps you to do so, you could use that extended range scale worksheet, which would give you this, you'll be able to see all those options in front of you. Or you could use a piece of tablature, which would serve the same function if you're not a reader, if you don't read notation. So the infinite note exercise is one where I conduct the beginning of the note, and what we try to do is we try to balance our level, attack together, and release together. And we get used to changing the bow and using our body, experimenting with different pressure and different speed. Because I think a lot of times we tend to be a little bit, small. So let's let our body move, And teachers, you might notice that in your class sometimes that your students, they don't want to use the whole bow. We want to prompt that, right? So that's part of the reason we like to do this, just kind of getting the breath activated, which is our bow. So here we go, just an infinite note. Any note in the key of C major, please. And just let your bow move. And as you're just letting your bow move in this infinite note, you can move your attention to different things, right? You can move your attention to your breath. Just notice your breath. And you can move your attention to your shoulders, your arms, your torso. You can move your attention to the sound in the room 10 feet away from you. You can move your attention to your inner dialogue, noticing thoughts that come to you. Not necessarily trying to change them, but just noticing them. You can notice your intonation. You can notice the weight of your bow arm. You can notice the speed of your bow, how much of the bow you use. And let's release that note. Let's try a different note now in the key of C major, and then occasionally I might ask you to move to a different note. Ready? Different note in the, when I say in the key of C major, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Any of those notes. Let's change. Notice your vibrato, if that's a thing that you do. And if it's not a thing you do, you can just notice what it feels like to roll your finger ever so slightly, higher or lower. And notice how it affects the intonation of your note. Change. Breathing, noticing your breath, changing. Notice your legs, your torso, your arms, shoulders, neck, your face. Change. Change. Awesome. So now let's do it with the same exercise, but let's do it with chromaticism. So that's just a fancy name for just any of the 12 notes that are available to you in Western music, right? The 12 notes, everybody know what I mean? So it just means you can pick from any of them. So let's do the same exercise, but 12th tone. Here we go. for the change. Make a decisive choice. It's interesting, I noticed, like, I think that a lot of times for us it can be really resistant to play in a chromatic way. Yeah, it's just interesting, right? So what is that? Is it the fear that it's going to sound wrong, or that it's somehow it's like it's not musical, or like what's
Dissonance, I think that's what we're afraid of.
Yeah.
Dissonance, I think we're all afraid of dissonance.
Yeah, well, it could be different things, right, for everybody. That could be one of them. Yeah.
Because I like the sound that resonates on an instrument when I'm playing a note that resonates with one of the other strings.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Cool. Let's try it again. Chromaticism is beautiful, and in my, so the difference in that one and the one before was marked. Like that was music because people played in tune, people played with conviction, they played together. The thing, in my opinion, that makes something musical is unity. It's like ensemble playing. There's like rhythmic togetherness, that sort of thing. I want to get like a volunteer. So if we volunteer to play with me. So we're just going to do I want everybody here, just the two of us doing just chromatic note, and we'll change together. Okay, ready? Yeah, absolutely musical. Yeah. And so, one of the benefits of this for teachers, that what you can do is with this, when you take away the, is practicing ensemble, right? And giving the students the ability to make that choice. Like it'll be a big breakthrough for your middle school students, and they'll be less resistant to it than you are. They'll tend to be, you know what I mean? So let's do the same thing. So listening, making music. It's like all the trees out there, right? There's not a wrong tree and a right tree. They're all beautiful trees. And it's the same thing with this. That's absolutely gorgeous. You know, especially when people are in tune and when people are matching their tone quality. Have you ever been in a situation where like you discovered like a wonderful food and you were trying to share it with somebody else and they were just really afraid of it? And you're like, I know that you're resistant to this food, or you have this opinion about this food or whatever. Maybe they even taste it for the first time, but they don't really get it yet. That's what I'm experiencing right now. Yeah, it's like I want to bring you to what's possible from when you open your ears and open your hearts and open, because it's also that resistance that we feel about dissonance or whatever else we might feel around it, like the fear of, you know, that our bow's shaking, the fear that, like, you know, oh, it's actually hard to change the bow. It's like really difficult to change the bow at the frog, right? Like to do this, you know. That's very difficult to do, right? So it's like I'm saying for me too, right? So it's like, so there's lots of resistance we have to this, but when you get to go through this, this is also a way to pull back some of the resistance that you're going to feel in other areas of music. It was like learning the chord changes or learning a rhythm or learning something else, right? But this is actually easier to do, just mechanically speaking, right? Like your sixth graders can do this exercise. Like they can. They're not always going to be able to hear whether they're flat or sharp when when it's a really rich or densely textured chromatic thing like this. They might be able to more when it's just two people doing it, which is why we want to continue with that later too in the small breakout groups. All right, cool. Really nice. The infinite note. Let's do one more variation of this. So this is a variation again that teachers can mimic, and also that we can mimic in our breakout jams later today. So in this one, we're just going to start one chromatic note, but then what I want is everybody in the circle can feel free to change whenever they want to change. But we're still trying to continue the unity of the ensemble, the balance of the ensemble. If anything, when you bring in your new note, you could be strong with bringing in that new note. Maybe for the guitar, I don't know, the way to maybe bring the guitar into the ensemble for this, I think, is either to just have one pluck and let it resonate, or to have this kind of thing happen. That kind of thing, yeah, to mimic like a long sustained note. So let's try that. Does everybody understand the exercise? So it's like we're holding a note and then anybody can change whenever they want to change. And here we go. Let's try it one more time, and let's shoot for like maybe a mezzo piano to pianissimo sound and see what change it makes for us. Except when you change your note, you could be a little bit stronger when you make the change. Okay, let's see what difference that makes. I really like that. I thought that really got to something there. That was cool. Thank you. Yeah, really nice.
Alright, it's time for you to step outside.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're being distracted again.
Chris, I have a question, kind of curiosity, because the first time when you said to go chromatic, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna play the flats and the sharps. And then at the beginning, I was just playing just the flat.
Oh, I see.
And then I was like, no, I can play anything.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, what if I just play anything? And I would stop thinking about,
Right.
I was just like, just put my finger here.
Right.
Whatever that is, and then
Yeah.
maybe go a little bit higher now and see what that sounds like.
Yeah.
So like, but at that point, I feel like now I'm not even thinking about chromatic anymore.
Right. It's microtonal. That's
It's
different.
It's like an outside idea of this exercise is that it's still like alive.
It's a good question. Yeah. No, because it's hard for people to hear the intonation when you're playing like something like that's hard to hear like when it's perfectly in tune.
I see.
Yeah, and so what you're talking about, just so it's actually a different thing to say, well, just put your finger anywhere, because then that's more like a microtonal, thing. But that's going to happen anyway. When you have really dense, especially when it's really dense like this, it's going to be hard. But I did think that it sounded very in tune, though, that last one, especially when we did it quieter, which again is like, I think, great exercise for students, if you're teaching students. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
You're asking like, were you doing it? And if you're not paying attention to intonation, then I guess maybe not, but I mean, that's just part of the vibe of this exercise.
So is there a string technique or string tradition, like the Baltic women thing, that has lots of minor tonal stuff? Have you heard the Baltic women choir? It's really cool.
Cool, nice.
They sing in like seconds and microtones and
Oh,
spread out into,
that's cool.
yeah, so is there anything like that for?
Probably, yeah, there probably is. On Instagram, I've seen a couple cool microtonal folks lately. I'll try to send a link to some of that later. There's got to be, all string playing is microtonal, I guess, just because it's so fresh.
I guess.
Cool. All right, so now we did that. Let's move this. Let's do that. Actually, let's do one more example of what we just did, but let's do it in a tonality again. So we'll do it in the key of, can everybody here feel comfortable playing an E flat major? E flat major. So that's 3 flats. All right, so any notes in the key of E flat major, and change when you want to change. We'll start with kind of piano. So now this time, let's move from tonality to tonality. So I'll say like, okay, we're in E flat major, and then I'll say, okay, and now we're gonna switch to F sharp major. And now we're gonna switch to B major. Now we're gonna switch to, let's try that. Let's see how that sounds, okay? Here we go. So we'll start back in E flat major. Let's go to C major. Let's go to D flat major. G major. F sharps, F sharps. G major. B flat major. B flat major. There's no A flats in B flat. There's no D flats in B flat. It's also a practical thing when we do chromatic stuff because people don't know their major scales, right? It's a limitation for us, which is another reason to play major scales. But it's cool to hear the difference between the diatonic and the chromatic. Now let's go in and out of chromatic and diatonic, and I'll only give you easy keys. All right. So I'll start with C major. Now go to chromatic. Now D major. Chromatic. F major. Chromatic. Beautiful. Very nice. Let's do that one more time and let's come back down to a piano level. Because I think we'll hear more actually if we do that. So chromatic, quiet. A major. G major. Chromatic. that. You can, now that's a cool jamming exercise that you can take into the jam outs again. So like if maybe me and Sophie could do the example again, where it's just, that we're just changing notes this time. Ready? Nice, thank you. Yeah. And you can record yourself. You can record yourself and enjoy it, because that was cool, right? Did you enjoy it? I'm sure I would enjoy that if I listened back on the recording. So, cool. And I would also learn a lot though too if I listen back on recording. So I'll learn like, oh, I was playing that note sharp, or I didn't know that my bow was doing that, or my vibrato was irregular. Like so much like I would learn from recording that, just from a practical growth standpoint too. And if you can use an exercise like this to tune into, am I playing too loud? Are my articulations something that I didn't realize, that's unintentional? Then you can really grow a lot. You can really, it's like a different vehicle where you can observe yourself in a different context and learn something really, really important about how you're showing up as a musician in different situations. Because otherwise, you'll just be in the same situations all the time, whatever those situations are. But presumably that's why you're here, is because you want to be able to break out of whatever box you find yourself in, whatever limitations you find yourself in. Which is not to say there's anything wrong with any of those situations. I love all those situations. I love playing in an orchestra. Haven't done it in a long time, but I absolutely love it. You know what I mean? But it's like there's certain things that you can't necessarily change about yourself as easily in the context of that orchestra, because you show up to it every single day, All right, cool. So let's try like something now using this major scale kind of template. I'll make up a groove for us. Yeah, let's see if I can come up with something here for us. So we're going to be in the key of G major. I think people are cool with that. Can I just take... can I get a quick show of hands? Would anybody want there to be a dedicated time where I show you how to do loops and effects and stuff like that? Okay, great. I'll put it on the schedule. Cool. So, just so you understand like what's happening harmonically, the context here is I did whatever I did. I don't remember what that was that I did, but it was something like that, right? And then over top of that, I just played D. That's all I played, D and A, right? So it's kind of putting D on the bottom. Remember we were just doing kind of like a swath in the different keys a minute ago? And did you notice the cello, the bend was like when he moved, it affected the sound of everything, right? So like if we're all playing E flat major, and then like let's all play I'll play in the key of E flat major, and I just want you to hear when Ben, he's just gonna move on each note, and we're gonna hear the difference. So E flat major. So he's playing an A. No, in the key of E flat major though. Sorry. But you started on an A flat, that was perfect, right? So any of the 7 notes, I'm sorry, you already did it before, I don't mean to throw you off, you were doing it perfectly before. So we're gonna hear just Ben playing each of the notes in the key of E flat major. So start with A flat, everybody hold any note in E flat major. So he's playing an A flat, now move. That's a B flat. That's an E flat. That's an F. That's a C. That's a D. Right. So you hear that? So that's the idea. That's kind of the same thing that's going on here. So I'm playing all these other little swells. All these. Those are just notes from the key of G major. Underneath the whole thing, I've kind of got a D-ish, D7 thing. Something like this. And then there's a D in the bass. That's why it sounds like D, but that's why everybody gets confused. They're like, what is it though? Right? Do you ever think that? Like, what is that though? Well, there's D in a bass, but we're in the key of, there's a G major scale that you can use basically. So that's all it is. So for this sequence, I usually start with a similar thing as we did before, which is like the infinite note. Like we just hold an infinite note in the key of G major. So let's do that. Ready? Play a note in G major. And one thing to notice is like that you're really changing with the loop. So a lot of times when we use our bow, we'll think the note, but we won't make it happen. So. We kind of play like this. We have this huge drag that happens. So we're not really together. So this would be together. Right, so if you can not change the bow, that helps sometimes if you slur to be more together. Or if you change the bow, you have to think about making the change happen and making it sound. So we have to go listen outside of ourselves and outside of what we feel in our body and notice, did my notes sound together with the outside source, right? So let's try that. 2, ready, go. the speed, then we double up our not being together. We double up our not being together. And then that's interesting, yeah, because earlier I was talking about like we're doing this whole chromaticism thing, and it's like, and then people feel like they're like, oh, but is that really music? But actually, when you're playing in G major, but you're not together, to me, that's what feels like not music. It's like what feels like music to me is when people are together. And the only way we can be together is we have an expanded awareness. Like we're hearing the person next to us, and like, am I louder? Am I softer? And I think it's a complete mirror of being just human in social environments, which is something that I'm actively working on. You know, to have an awareness of like, how am I showing up with this person? Like how, like, am I listening? Am I noticing the people around me and what they're feeling or whatever? That's you know, but from a musical standpoint, I'm decent at it. And so for all the things that you heard last night at the concert, whether it was like really pretty bluegrass or whether it was like really funky or jazzy or whatever, like the only thing that makes any of it happen, in my opinion, is that listening. So we can't have any of those other things. We can't have anything fancy. We can't have anything fast. We can't have anything complexity. None of it matters if we can't play quarter notes together. It's like it all comes down to that. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like if I go out in the world and I cuss people out, it's like it doesn't matter how smart I am. It doesn't matter how good I am as a musician. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to be around me. You know what I mean? It's like that's how I see the analogy of music. So hear yourself, and here's the practical side of it. Use less bow. Play quieter. And then hear me saying it again. Because I'll say it now, but just imagine that I'm saying it like 20 times. Play quieter, use less bow, hook the bow more, listen more to the people around you. Try 2, 3, 4. Good, much better. The trick is, like a lot of times for us to improve what we're doing, we have to listen harder to what's outside of ourselves. So now let's try melodic rhythms. So I'm going to give you a melodic rhythm. It sounds like this: da 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 da. But you can pick any notes you want. But you just have to play that rhythm over and over again, and you have to make it feel as good as possible. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah, but it doesn't sound like da, da. It sounds like something else. You might feel in your body that it sounds like that, but it doesn't sound like that. 2 and 3 and 4. That's better. Examine the bow. So, because we could do it, there's a few different ways. We could do it like this, or we could do it like this, or we could do it like this, or like this. That's 4 different options. But you should be able to do all 4 different options with your bow and try to make everyone sound exactly the same. So that's and by the way, if you're sitting in this class and you're just doing the same bowing every time and you're bored, then that's a way to challenge yourself, right? Is to like, and then plus I just did it at the tip. Well, I should be able to do it also at the frog, and also in the middle, and also with like a flautando, full bow or whatever, like, you know. So same thing, just really explore the bow as well as the other things, because I could also do, let's see, I could do. There's all kinds of ways you can challenge yourself. 2, 3, and 4, and. Awesome. This is why it's like yoga. So it's like we're not going to be perfect, right? We're never going to be perfect. It's what I care about is the intention, right? The process and what you're putting your thinking to. Let's try another rhythm. So we're going to do da bo do be. Like so, it'll sound like this. I'll play it. Just listen. That's the rhythm. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Your notes, that rhythm. Your bowings. This rhythm. Just listening. Ba, 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 ba. Nice. Once you get into a structure like this that is so focused and it's easy enough for you to do, right? Then in that space, that's where you can be creative. That's where you can push yourself harder. So there's always going to be times when we're practicing stuff that's relatively easy for us. Like maybe this is relatively easy for you. And then that's when you get to push your creative edge, right? So what I mean is like, you can notice like, well, am I always slurring? Am I always separating the bow? But you can also think, well, what shapes am I playing, right? So I showed you I was playing seconds or whatever, you know, or you could cross strings. You could just try really bold things, like just with that, you know. I could do that. Or. So I get to challenge myself that every phrase that I play, every melody that I play is completely different than the one before, right? Because it's easy enough for you. Then there's gonna be other situations like what we were doing yesterday when I was like, play G7, play C7, play D7, and everybody's like, that's hard. I can't do that, right? Well, it's hard, that's a different situation. So that's when you get to focus more on like memorization and deep work and stuff like that. Maybe it's a hard rhythm or whatever. So let me come up with another rhythm for you guys that you can continue to do this. Yeah, we'll do that one. Ba ba da ba. So it'll sound like this. Hear that rhythm. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Very nice. So, again, this is called a melodic rhythm. This is a great way to give your students some structure and empower them to improvise, to be creative. Like, this is empowering because if they know the major scale, and if you give them this much structure, they can do it. Everybody in the room can do this. Even Moochie, he just started playing the violin 2 days ago. So more ways to provide that structure and to loosen up that structure and give you more freedom would be, we did recurring notes like quarter notes and half notes earlier, but what if we said, okay, now you have the ability to mix those durations. So if I got da ga da ga da ga da ga da ga da ga da da 4 different durations of notes, we could mix them up in different ways. So if I just mix them up in different ways, then or just very loosely and just said I can play any of those rhythms. Right? So you can do that if you want. Still paying attention to whatever you want to pay attention to, your intonation, your rhythm. You can decide whether you want to insert rests and have really complete phrases, which I recommend. So try that. 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's kind of in a really like soloist capacity, right? So what if we look at it from the side of like accompanying and supporting? So we can try just a little bit of rhythm with this. So if we've got down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, right? then we can start to ghost or just de-emphasize some of those notes. Like this, right? So it's not really important. If you cover your string with your fingers just lightly, not pressing, then you can also kind of add an extra amount of mute. Do you want to try that really quick? Just see if you can get that. So I'm floating the bow, yeah. And then I cover it with my fingers, and that mutes it more. Right. And so then we can play like 4 on, like 4 ghosted. Let's try that. Down, up. Down, up, down, up. Cool. So now that we're going to start it on the up bow, so it'll be like this. Up, down, still 4 on, 4 off. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, Now we'll start it on beat 2, so it'll be like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and with me. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Yeah, let's switch it up. Yeah. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So Lucci might be easier at the tip. Down, up. There you go. Now 2 and up, down, and 1 and 2, up, down, and 1 and 2, up, down, down. Maybe any note. You can play separate notes if you want. Very nice. You can experiment with that with all 8 divisions, right? Playing 4 from 1 and 2 and 3. But let's try a couple mixed phrases like, how about, oh yeah, this is a tricky one. So we go down, up, like that. So it'll be like, try that one. Down, up, and then keep the bow moving. It's hard. It should just be down, up, then silence. 3 and 4 and. There we go. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So you can experiment with different rhythms. It kind of doesn't matter what the rhythms are, actually. I mean, there's rhythms that are in the clave and there's rhythms that are not in the clave, but for the practice of just learning the ability to do it, like there's nothing wrong with just practicing this. And then eventually you can build up to it. But that's a lot of what you probably heard happening last night at the concert, right? You know, people comping, using this type of bowings and, you know, having the flexibility to be rhythmically supporting someone else. Where it really matters more, and there's really more responsibility that falls on us when we're accompanying. And that would be another explanation of really what I want to teach you at the camp, and what I think makes someone a more fully functioning musician is whenever you have the ability to accompany someone else. So when we're only capable of playing melodies, then we're sort of helpless in some ways. It's like there's a lot of things we just can't do. And so just learning to accompany. And so maybe when we come back in a minute, we'll do that, some more of that, looking at another tune. I want to take like 5 to 10 minute break. Is that cool with you guys? All right, thanks a lot. See you back in 10 minutes. Quarter till. The whole part is like. You get it.
like moving through a lot, right? It is.
Yeah. That's great. I was like, oh yeah. That's the first time you heard that song? Yeah. I heard it play it like that. That's pretty growing up. Really? Yeah. He was always playing like it's on the most. Well, I took you this one. That's like the main thing. Some people like even though busy, so like that's still pretty. And he has a good idea of something like right. He was crazy like so classic. So why does
think maybe right over here. Is there a leak right here?
Yes, there is a leak. There is a leak, yeah, there, I think.
There it was.
And then we'll get it fixed. Sorry.
That's okay. Life happens.
Especially here.
Yeah. If you guys could have seen it 6 months ago after the flood, they've done a lot of work here. Okay, so I have a chart for the next part of class that maybe people haven't. Amelia's waltz. Amelia's waltz.
Ah, yes, I have it.
There was a stack here, so they're probably distributed. It's just one page mainly. The second page just has the scale on it.
Oh, okay, so this is the scale.
I just felt really slow yesterday,
Oh, okay.
so I need more coffee.
Okay. But you feel like you're getting ideas or?
Yes, of course, yes. Just trying to figure out the easiest way to do it. The group, so I got some thoughts. So thank you so much.
If you're happy, I just want you to be happy.
I tend to overthink things, and I tend to keep redoing them, whether it's good or not, so I'm trying to get back on it. Yeah, and when I made a glass bird the other day. Yeah, I made glass floating, so the guy didn't let me, he told me I had to go straight with what I wanted, and so, I mean, granted, he did most of the work because I was just learning, so, but that made me go, I have to just go with one path and see where it leads, so I'm trying to be better. Thank you.
All right, cool. We're going to do Amelia's waltz. So hopefully everybody's got this little chord sheet for it. If not, you can take a picture of your neighbor's chart. Yeah, and you can actually start right off with me if you want. I'm going to lay down on my loop. I usually think of every song as having three parts. It's the bass line, the inner voices, and the melody, basically. And so in this instance, I'm going to play the inner voices on my loop first. And the reason is because they have more subdivisions. And the bass line, you can just think of from the letter of each chord. And if you want to play the bass line to learn the chord first, or to learn the song, I recommend that. And so you would just play the root on the downbeat of every measure. So for example, dum, dee, dee, do, dee, ba, do, dee, bo, dee. Right? That's the bass line. And by the way, playing bass lines is the easiest way to memorize the chord progression of any song. And you don't need a chord stack to do it, right? All you need to see is just the letter names. So you can do that while I play the inner voices if you want. 2 and 3 and... voices. Bar 9. I think. This is bar 15, 16. Here's the top. Second bar. There was one there, so somebody has it. There was a maybe Ben has it, the other All right, hold on. Does anybody have the cello part? Because I had a cello part for this up there on the table earlier, I think.
Part that I grabbed says viola on it, but it's in bass clef, so I don't know.
Oh, if it's in bass clef. So if it's in bass clef, then that should be the cello part. Okay.
There's another bass right here.
Bass, that's bass clef? Oh, okay, cool. Could Moochie has a bass clef version. Moochie has a bass clef. Yeah.
By inner voices, does that just mean, more notes, or what is that, what does it mean?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. So it's just the inner voices is another way of saying like in a band it might be the rhythm guitar, it might be like the keyboard, right? It's like the middle stuff that's playing accompaniment. So yeah, it is the notes of the chords are usually in there, but also some rhythm.
So like you can play like arpeggios or it's like.
Yeah, exactly.
Chopping mean with the voice or not?
It could be, yeah. And that's why I was about to address that. So some ways to play the inner voices. Like since it's a waltz, one way to think of a waltz, and we have different rhythmic forms, right? So a waltz is a rhythmic form, a medium bluegrass groove is a different rhythmic form, a pop groove is a different rhythmic form. So in a waltz, one of the ways to play the inner voices is to play 1, 2, 3. So let's do that. Let's do 2, 3 like this. You play 2 notes and with that rhythm. 2 and 3 and. And now we could just experiment with different rhythms. So what if we did ba dee ba 3 da 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 ba da ba ba da, something like that. I don't know. So it'd be 2 quarter notes and a dotted a half note 2 and 3 and. G. might be like ba dee do be do ba dee ba dee ba dee ba dee ba, and that rhythm could have different melodic shapes. So I could do or that, right? You're gonna play different shapes. Now that might be moving too fast for you. You could just be playing dotted half notes. You could just be here, you know, with single notes or double stops. So try any of those variations you want for the inner voices. Does that kind of answer your question about inner voices? Okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Can anybody, would anybody want to play volunteer to play the melody? Derek, you want to play just the melody of the tune? And so I'm going to show you a couple ways that I can comp for him, because then you can practice those in the duo if you want. So first of all, I'll just do some different things. Yeah, go for it. 1, 2, 3. bad. I got off the form from where you were. I just kept going over the first top part, but that was great. Thanks a lot. So hopefully, I don't know if you saw some of the strategies that I used, if it was obvious to you or not, but you know, different arpeggiation things, different playing bass lines, playing inner voices. So this could be something you could practice, but I'm gonna make a way to make it a little easier to practice. So usually what I like to do is just take like a couple chords and then slow them down, and then you can kind of memorize them. But actually, before I do that, let me talk about harmonization. So if you look at the melody and then you look at the chord stack, to harmonize the melody, all you have to do is play a note above or below that harmony. You know, so if you have this, that's the beginning melody, right? So I just find a note above or below. Right? Or right? So you can harmonize below or above by using the notes that are in the chord stack. So you could do that as an exercise if you want. You could like slowly like write in the harmony. So you write in the chord tone that is directly above. And you just try to grab the note, especially that's on the downbeat, and then all the other notes. You don't even have to move the other notes. So you could do 3-part harmony that way just by looking at the chord stack. Right? That makes sense?
So you're saying like the second note is an E on the first measure?
No, I'm saying, okay, in the first measure, you have a D, which is your prominent
So
chord
you play
tone.
like an F.
You can play an F sharp above or the A beneath.
But then what about the E?
Yeah, you could either follow it or not. Yeah, so if I did, like for example, sounds fine, so does this. I didn't move the bottom note. Did you notice that? Listen, I just hold the A. See, I didn't move the bottom note. Same thing. Same thing with that, I didn't move the top note. That's moving the top note. That's moving the bottom note. So you have the option. But it's just an easier way to just literally just grab that. So that could be an example, like if you wanted to harmonize, and you will have the option on Thursday, right, to perform either as small ensembles or just as a soloist or however you want at the White Horse. So that could be something you put in the back of your mind, like do you want to write out like a 3-part harmony arrangement to a song or something like that? Do you want to work on the comping for a song? Okay, let's just play a little bit more with it. And, oh, I know what I was going to show. So what if we just take only 2 chords, like B minor to F sharp minor, because that's probably hard for people, right? So we get used to that. If I wanted to learn just the B minor, I would just look at my chord stack. Do you see on the B minor, do you see that you have the chord stack that's like that? And you can just play all the inversions like that, looking at the page. So you can try that for a second, just B minor. And if that's easy for you, you can play all the 4ths and 3rds or 6ths and 5ths. Same thing for the next chord, which is F sharp minor. So let me show you really briefly. So that's one way, but you could also do the 6th and 5ths, or the 4ths and 3rds. Okay, so practice F sharp minor. On the triple stops. Practice voice leading the two chords. So we have the B minor. So I'm just going to set this up really quick. Just listen for 1 second, please. B minor for 2 bars to F sharp minor for 2 bars. So listen, watch how I do this. So I take the bottom 3 notes, right, and then bottom of the bottom of the next one. The next 3 voices: B minor, and then F sharp minor. 4ths and 3rds. I do triple stops. Just voice leading. If you want to do it, look at it a different way, and F sharp. So we're just trying to kind of memorize these 2 chords now. So you can use the paper or you can try to go from memory. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So what we're gonna do now is, in a minute, send you out to breakout jams, to practice jamming with somebody else, either in groups of 2, 3, or 4. Encourage you to, maybe find new people if you want. And so we've given you lots of examples of forms that you could use to practice, but this is one. So you could play over this entire song. You could play over just those 2 chords that we broke up. You could play over those 2 chords, but twice as fast. You get the idea? So the idea is, okay, we have this structure. It's a waltz, and there's chords that go with it. That's your structure. But you could also use the other structures we had from earlier, which is like chromatic notes, right? Any tempo, like you've got all these structures that you can use. You can use the sentence game, stuff we did yesterday. So that's kind of what we want to do here in a minute, and you can do that until we see you at lunch or after lunch, and we'll work on the schedule. Was there any other notes you wanted to make a note, Austin?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to mention that I added to the top of the schedule here a link, like an editable link. It says camper night open mic sign up. So if you click that, it'll take you here, where you can put some ideas that you want to perform. Here it just says on the left hand side the name of the tune and the key, and then the right hand side it'll say the people that you are like your name and whoever is going to play with you. If you have an idea for a tune that you want to play, and you can just put like next to the name that like, hey, anyone who knows this tune and wants to play with me, you can just like kind of note that on this hand side. Or you could add any of the teachers to accompany you on that tune. So just put your own name, and then either people, say, make it like obvious that it's invitational, like anyone come, or a teacher or whatever. Sound good?
And then maybe also link to a chart if you have it, or...
That's great, yeah. If you could make it a hyperlink, that would be great. Like the name of the tune could be a hyperlink or a link to the chart or something like that.
Beautiful. That's cool. Awesome. Any other questions or observations? Anybody want to share anything? All right, so happy jamming. See you at lunch or after lunch. We'll probably rove around and check in on you. So. Somebody can solo, somebody can accompany. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you more later on, probably today.